to be made, and this is a beauty. 1 p.m. Eastern, Pittsburgh Steelers at Buffalo Bills, Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York, 73 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 15 miles per hour. And Bebsie, let me start with this. I know that there is an enormous amount of excitement about these Buffalo Bills, and it's warranted. It's warranted. But after this breakdown, I'm either betting the Steelers plus 6.5 or I'm doing nothing.
Okay.
Let's talk about this spot. Year 15 for Tomlin. Year 1 offensive coordinator Matt Canada. I think the 6.5 with the pressure on the Bills and the Steelers coming in after being embarrassed all offseason, I think it's enough points for the Steelers to stay close. And I know the Bills are a better team, but I just think this is a nice opportunity with 6.5 points. Week 1 with the Steelers. Keith Butler, year 7 as a defensive coordinator, and we've already heard from Bebsie on Najee Harris, number 1, 24th overall from Alabama, and Bebsie a small look on Najee Harris to be offensive rookie of the year. They get Pat Freiermuth, tight end out of Penn State, which is sort of a surprise pick. They lose James Conner, who led the Steelers in rushing yards, but did not look good doing it and battled injuries. They lose Bud Dupree. You could say that everything fell apart when – I wouldn't say fell apart, but look, they were 11-0 when he started rolling, and he had 8 sacks in those 11 games. He's off to the Titans. Mike Hilton, cornerback to the Bengals. Pouncey retired. Villanueva, right tackle to the Ravens. Steven Nelson is just a free agent, the cornerback. So 11-0 record with the league's worst rushing attack. They finished 12-4, get completely embarrassed by the Browns. Najee Harris can change everything. Their pass offense was very strange in 2020, and a noodle arm was a word that was used about Roethlisberger because the Steelers lead the league with 656 pass attempts. Their 6.3 yards per attempt was tied for 28th. And Deontay Johnson, Claypool, and Smith-Schuster all get 100 targets, but they didn't have a receiver with over 1,000 yards. Eric Ebron bounced back, 558 yards and 5 scores, but they draft Freiermuth, so obviously they don't love what they saw. They draft Kendrick Green in the 3rd round and Dan Moore in the 4th round to help their offensive line. Pouncey gone, which is a big loss. The Steelers had one of the top defenses in 2020, but we saw it just get worse as the injuries took their toll. TJ Watt has been upset. Do you know what's going on with TJ Watt right now? I probably should have looked that up just before the show started. TJ Watt wanting the extension. We know that the Steelers don't negotiate once the season starts. So we're waiting to see if he's going to get that extension by Sunday, but he's not pleased. And Joe Hayden is one of the few holdovers at cornerback. Devin Bush, Robert Spillane, they had a ton of injuries, and they come in healthy. And I think they're live here at 6.5-point dogs. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. We have 16,947 tickets in. 61% of the tickets are on the Bills, but just 38% of the cash. I think sharp money is on the Steelers here. From a total perspective, it's very even. 51% of tickets on the under, 47% of cash on the under. Look, McDermott has been excellent. 50 year in charge of the Bills. Brian Daboll is an excellent coordinator. Leslie Frazier in year 5 is defensive coordinator. It just feels like Brandon Beane's making all the right decisions from a player personnel standpoint. Emmanuel Sanders comes in. Breda comes in. Trubisky to back up. They draft Marcus Stevenson in the 6th round. They lose John Brown, Andre Roberts, and Tyler Kroft, but this is a team on the rise. We know that. We know that they're very good. And I know that Ian Cameron says, I like the Bills a lot this season. Right here in the it says over wins, win division, conference, Super Bowl futures, no need to pile on. I think the number's right where it should be here. Probably won't be on this game. I think this is the opportunity to fade them here, personally. Look, Allen has become a monster. Their two-headed rush attack with Singletary and Zach Moss is very good. Now they had Breda. They had injuries to Milano last year that hurt them, and now he's healthy, signed this 4-year, $44 million contract. They get Lodulele rejoining the squad. Jerry Hughes, Mario Addison, Ed Oliver. They have so many looks they can give you from a pass rush scenario. And Tre'Davious White comes back, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Look, this is an excellent team, but I think they're vulnerable here. A Caveman Bet says under 48.5 all day. Bebsie, take it away. Marquee matchup, Steelers at Bills.
This game worries me for the exact opposite reason the last game worries me. There's too much excitement about both of these teams. The last two teams, I'm like, what a disaster. But these two teams, obviously the Bills, more excitement. I think they're foundationally better. I think they're coached better, and that's not necessarily a popular thing to say because people love Tomlin, but I agree with you, Jimmy. I think McDermott's doing an absolute heck of a job. I am curious about one thing that you mentioned, and that was I don't know if you mentioned yards per attempt from Big Ben, but the first half of the year was not a problem with Big Ben. I do remember saying on this show how great he looked in camp last year. He looked like he finally lost weight. He looked like he was in shape. His noodle arm wasn't a problem until down the stretch. They started losing games. He had to make bigger throws. He didn't have the arm strength at that stage in the season. So I'm not too worried about that to start this season off. I agree the value bet here is taking the Steelers. I do think it's a lot of points to lay. I can even see a backdoor cover happening here. I do think the Bills win outright. I think it's maybe a touch too many points. Two more things I do want to address before I wrap it up, this quick little breakdown, is I think Turnsey asked how we typically do week one. I limped in last year. I think I had 5 or 6 bets in week one. I always start slow because I like to see how things play out. Some people, hey, we already talked about this a lot last year. I'm a coward. So I always limp in. I really pick my spots early on and then start juicing up when I get cocky. But and then the other thing I did want to mention is I'm not sure who it was in the chat. Caveman Bets under 48.5 all day. That would probably be my look in this one. Because again, I think there's a lot of moving parts on the Steelers, and I don't see them putting up a ton of points right away. I don't know what to make of Juju Smith-Schuster because we all know the talent is there, but I feel like his talent seemed to diminish towards the end of the last year, and I don't know if that was just because we hated him because of all the other antics that you were just like, okay, stop dancing on logos and getting your team beat. But I don't know if I have a ton of faith in the Steelers out the gate. I have more faith in Big Ben throwing early, but this is too many points to give the Bills with a team that I think has been dragged through the mud because of how hot they started last year and tailed off.
I like the breakdown. Also, in some of our captain Eric Rosas remembers, you were low quantity of action, but you were up 15 units, 4 weeks into the year? I mean, you started out very, very, very hot last year. So the early season looks, you've always been very good at, and it's because you focus on football year round. Slats45 says, I don't see the love for Pitt. Pouncey retired, bad O-line, Ben is old, Bills are nothing. Burgundy Bet says under for me. Rodney Barton, Steelers 10-3 against the Bills. Dutch Boy Fresh says Tomlin, the most overrated coach in the league. I don't think he's the most overrated coach because I never hear anyone say anything nice about him or good about him. It's questionable why he still has his job 15 years in. Birdie says I have to watch this Steelers-Bills game. Bills can't run the ball. Says we have no idea what the Steelers O-line will look like. No play for me under the Steelers games on the road is never a bad look.
Slat, I agree with all of Slats' points here. Every time I think the Steelers O-line isn't going to be good because they lost somebody, there's 2 guys we never heard of that step up and be incredible. So until they stop doing that, I'm not going to worry about the Steelers O-line. And also on the defensive side of the ball, yes, they did lose Bud Dupree, which I think was actually at the time very underplayed. But they did bring up Ingram. So if Ingram plays healthy, he's going to be helpful on the other side of Watt. But if Watt doesn't play, then then maybe you look brilliant by beating the line. Because if they announce on Sunday that Watt isn't playing, then that 7.5 or 6.5, whatever you're sitting at there right now, is going to look real good.
Is that a possibility?
I don't personally think so. I think he's going to play, but he's currently unhappy, whatever that means. But I don't think he has leverage. This team doesn't pay people who sit out.
Clearly unhappy. No doubt about it. Noli says, how many losing seasons does Tomlin have? Look, he has his job for 15 years for a reason, and the Steelers are based on continuity throughout their whole franchise. I mean, what have they had? 4 head coaches? But the guys are screaming for a quick shot. We have a ton of work to do, but hard for me to say no to that. We are about to break down Minnesota Vikings at Cincinnati Bengals, but the NFL is back, baby. Pub Sports Radio will be here every Tuesday night and then every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. with the NFL Pub Hub. Let's get a little mysterious crack in me now. I know that Bebsie is still recovering from hernia surgery, and so is Slats 45 in our chat. So you guys both are getting through that right now. Are you on the sauce as we speak, Bebsie? I don't know what the hell that is. What is that?
It's just a beer.
All right. Okay.
Just a local beer.
All right. That's fine. That's valid.
Okay.
I mean, if it was urine or white wine, we would have a problem. But you're in business.
Hey, man. I do what I do.
Oh, Jesus.
Are you straight cracking it?
Oh, goddamn, I am. This is God, you get a little taste of it.
All right, I guess I'm switching to whiskey at halftime.
All right, we move on.